we'll do our opening prayers. Michael, I think it's been a while since you've done opening prayers, if I'm not mistaken. Would you be the Umze for this evening?
I would be happy to do it if you want. Michael, if you
All right, you want to let Zara do it? She seems very enthusiastic about it this evening.
It seems like he's saying go for it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we'll go. And the only thing I ask is just to slow down just a little bit. Make it a heartfelt recitation.
And I just want to make sure, like, I'm doing page 1 and 4, correct?
No, we're on
Oh, sorry.
we're on the Deity Yoga book.
Okay.
Right?
The opening prayers, right?
Opening prayers.
Michael, you may have to take over. I don't know if I'm maybe I'm in this book. What for opening prayers? Is this wrong?
It's not wrong. You can use that. It's a slightly different translation on a couple of the prayers, but that's fine.
Okay, all right. Is it this? It's this one right here.
That's the one I prefer to use right now.
Okay, all right. Let me. I can easily do a swap. All right. So tell me, page 3. Okay, and then
page 3 through page 10b.
Okay, wonderful. 10b. Okay, perfect. Got it. I see. All right. Okay. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in a state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood.
Can you do the Tibetan one time, please?
Sure, I will certainly try. Dagla dang war je padra no par ji pa geg tar padang tam chi kin pao bardu chu par jepa tam cheki so ji pai manam ka dang nayam pai sem chim ta che diwa dang den dug nal dang drel nurda lana mipa yang dagpar zogpa changchub renpochi tobarja. Okay. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind until death. I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind from now until this time tomorrow. I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage.
Do the Tibetan, please.
Yes, can. De chi du sang ma gi ki bardo lu nag yisum giwa la kol ma shi bardu lin lunag yisum giwa la kol dudi ring ni sung tinia ma sang da sam ji bardu la nag yisam jiwa la kol. Okay. We take refuge in the kind root lama and lineage lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yiddams. We take refuge in the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakini, Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root lama and lineage lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yiddams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Dren, Chin, Sawa, Dangi, Parchi, Paldin, Lama, Dampa, Namla, Yabsu, Chio, Yiddam, Kil, Korjila, Sog, Namla, Kiabsu, Chio, Sangji, Chomden, Dinamla, Kabsu, Chio, Dampai, Cho, Namla, Kabsu, Chio, Pagpai, Jidon, Namla, Kabsu, Chio, Pawo, Kadro, Shokang, Sungmai, Shog, Yishi, Ki, Chendang, Denpa, Namla, Kabsu, Chio. Okay. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddhas, I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Changchub, Ning, Por, Chi, Kibar, Sangi, Namla, Kyabsu, Chicho, Dangcheng, Chubsim, Payi, Sog, Layang, Yang, Dishan, Kyabsu, Chi, Jitar, Nung, Ji, Dishag, Ki, Chengchub, Tub, Ni, Ki, Pang, Dong, Changchub, Simpai, Lab, Pala, Daedog, Rim, Shin, Ni, Parta, Dishen, Drola, Fendon, Du, Chengchub, Sim, Ni, Ki, Chu, Ji, Xing, Dishen, Du, Ni, La, Pa, La, Rimpa, Shindu, La, Bar, Ji. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Sangji Chotang Suki Chagnam La, Changchu Bardu Dagni Kyabsu Chi, Dagi Jinso Ji Pai Sonam Ki, Drola Penchir Singi Drupar Shug. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Ma nam kadang nam pai simchin tamche dewa dang diwai gu dang denpar gurchik du nal dang du nal ji ju dang, drawar grushik, dugnag dungal mi pai dewa deng mi drawar gu chig. Niring chak tang dang ni dang drawar tang nim la nepar gu chig. I bow down respectfully with my body, speech, and faithful mind to all Tathagatas in the 10 directions, those who have already reached the Tathagata state, those who are reaching it at present, and those Tathagatas still to come. Genie, Sudag, Chogchu, Jigteen, Tena, Dusam, Shigpa, Miyi, Singi, Kun, Dagji, Malu, Digdag, Tamchi, La. Ludang Gagi Dangwa Chagi Hyo.
This we can just do in English, please.
Okay. Through the power of Samantabhadra's prayers, may all Buddhas manifest vividly in my mind. I prostrate to them, multiplying my body as many times as there are atoms of the earth. In each atom, I visualize as many Buddhas as there are atoms, surrounded by countless bodhisattvas. Thus, all space is filled with Buddhas and bodhisattvas. I praise all Buddhas through magnificent chanting, expressing the great ocean of their excellent qualities. To all Buddhas, I make offerings of various pure flowers, flower garlands of music, anointing oils, magnificent light, and fragrant incense. I make offerings to them of fine garments, perfume, potpourri piled high as Mount Meru and arranged in the most beautiful way. I visualize the highest and most extensive offerings and offer them with great faith to all Buddhas. I prostrate to the Buddhas and make offerings to them, following the deeds of the great bodhisattvas Samantabhadra. I confess to you, Buddhas, whatever negative actions I have committed due to the power of anger, desire, and ignorance. I rejoice in the merit of all Buddhas in the 10 directions, of the great bodhisattvas and pratika Buddhas, those who have attained arhatship, those who have entered the path of arhatship, and all other beings. I request to all great protectors and Buddhas to turn the highest wheel of Dharma as the light dispelling the darkness of beings in the 10 directions and leading them gradually to the enlightened state. I supplicate those Buddhas intending to pass into parinirvana to live long, for as many acons as there are atoms of the earth, in order to benefit all beings. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying for the sake of the enlightened of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. This ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the 4 continents, on the sun and moon. As a Buddha field, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha fields. To the lamas who possess the 3 kayas, I offer the outer, inner, and secret offerings. With my body, wealth, and all that is visible, please grant me the supreme realization, enlightenment. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offerings, confessions, rejoicings, beseeching, praying, for the sake of enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate.
This in Tibetan, please.
Okay. Yabdrin gi do mizam ling gin.
No. Start
Oh.
again.
Oh, sorry. Sachi pochu jugmi togdram. Rirab ling shi nida yin padi. Singi shingla migti puwa yi. Jokung namjag shingdu kiwa shok. Kusum yongzog lama sognam la. Chinang sangsum jishin niki cho. Jaglu hongsho nansang siyon shila. Lama chogji nigo trub sal du sol. Chagsol wadang cho ching shagpa dang. Jesu yirang kul shing solwa yi. jiwa jung sa dagji chi sagpa tam chi zogpa chang chu chernogo.
Om, Guru, Ratna, Mandala, Puja, Mega, Samudra, Saparana, Sameye, Ahom.
Okay. Okay.
Tibetan and English on this one, on this page.
Kabdring Gido Mizam Lingin Dragpa Tongsum Yonla Kyab Somi Galwo Dorji Chang Fajig Tengon Pashala Du Tag Tu Samgu Kyolami Jen Ji Lobshig Tu Shen Ning ji munpa salni kyang simtro trudu tagpar jen ji lob. Unequaled refuge, ornament of the world, your fame pervades the 3,000 worlds. You are the victor, Vajrahara, without a doubt. I bow at the feet of the Father, Jengten Sumgon. Continually, I think of no one but you. Compassionate one, grant your blessings. Dispel the darkness that surrounds my heart. Please bless me so that I can realize the unelaborated nature of the mind. Semchin Nanki Sampadang Loyi Jidak Jita Wa Chechung Thungmang Dikpayi Choki Korlo Kordu Sol. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the two vehicles and their combination according to the disposition and likewise the mental capacities of sentient beings. Praise to Manjushri. Sure. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we go to the White Tara section in this book, which is on page 53. So if you have your meditation cards handy, and you can go to and get your meditation cards out for White Tara, would be very helpful. So, does anybody have any questions about any of the opening prayers that we just recited?
Which, just for my knowledge, which card? I have several visuals, and I want to make sure I pull the right one out.
The ones that say White Tara on them.
Okay, Lance, I can try to figure that out. All right, thank you.
Okay, so what we're going to do, so chapter 10 is explaining the practice, and this practice is kind of like the explanation for most of these peaceful deity practices. So practices like Shenrezig, practices like Manjushri, practices like Medicine Buddha, practices like White Tara and Green Tara are all considered to be peaceful deity practices, and they basically follow the same type of format, and they don't necessarily require that we have to have an empowerment to be able to do these practices. Although when the empowerment is offered, we should take it, whether or not we've had it before. So if we haven't had it, we certainly want to take it. And if we've had it before, we should take it again to refresh our vows, to refresh our memory of it, and so on like that. So, and then what it's doing, it's helping us to remain mindful of what the practice is, what the deity is, and all the deities are within ourselves. So we're trying to, become inseparable with the body, speech, and mind of all the enlightened beings. So these sadhana practices, these deity yoga practices, are the means by which we can become familiar with that inseparability of our true nature. So once again, we've said this many times, all the Buddhas, all these deities have bodhicitta as their essence. And in that respect, they're all completely the same. And to know one is to know them all from that point of view of the essence of the bodhicitta. The thing that differentiates these deities is their enlightened activity, in the way in which they have that bodhicitta and the way in which they share that bodhicitta, the way in which they open that up to all sentient beings. So by learning this, we're learning the essence, but we're also learning in the way that it's expressed through these different methods and so on. So first, we need to understand that there is a structure in place with this. So first, let's make a few definitions. Let's understand this. So a sadhana, S-A-D-H-A-N-A, a sadhana is a ritual meditation on a Yiddam deity performed as a group or individually. So in other words, as a group like we are right now, a group of Sangha members, or that we're doing it by ourselves. So the Yiddam is our meditation deity. The Tutulari Deities is another way of saying it. Tutulari meaning that they are our tutor. That it's through the deity that we're learning about what it is to be a deity, of what it is to be a pure being. So we say that it's the meditational deity. So these deities are, you probably heard the term Sambhogaya deities. This is the enjoyment body, the subtle enjoyment body, the Sambhogakaya of the Buddha. There's the Dharmakaya, which is the true nature. Then there's the Sambhogakaya, which is the subtle enjoyment body. So as we get familiar with these meditation deities, we get more and more joyous about it. We see the subtlety of it and how it affects everything else that we do as we become the embodiment of these deities and our enlightened activity, the things that we do and so on. And then the third body is the Nirmanakaya, the Nirmanakaya of the Buddha, which is the emanation body. So this would be like when the Buddha takes a form that we can see, that we can hear, that we can touch us and have a correspondence with us and so on, to allow us to become aware of the subtleties of the enjoyment body and the Dharmakaya. So these are called the three kayas, or the three bodies of the Buddha: the Dharmakaya, the Sambhogakaya, and the Nirmanakaya. So the Yiddam deity is a deity who is enabling us to be able to recognize that. So it becomes the deity that we kind of resonate with. So we may say we're in this book, there's 11 deities in this book, but we might resonate with one or two really very strong. So they may become our Yiddam deity. And through them, we begin to learn more about the other ones and so on, the way the other deities work and so on. So the Yiddam deity is that close resonance that we have with that particular deity. So the Yiddam, it says, the deity whose form and attributes embody a particular aspect of enlightenment and with whom a practitioner identifies in meditation. So we should be very comfortable when we do our meditation, that it's easy for us to visualize ourselves as that particular deity. Deity yoga is the characteristic type of Vajrayana meditation. The characteristic type of Vajrayana meditation practice in which mundane phenomena are identified with those of a Yiddam. So what that means is that through this deity, this yoga means union, deity is this being within ourselves, that we are in union with that. And then we begin to recognize the phenomena, the mundane phenomena in our lives, and be able to apply the pure essence of what the Yiddam is representing to be able to transform that phenomenal nature into pure nature. So we're like bringing it onto the path, and we're not negating it. What we're doing is we're transforming it. We bring it onto the path. So it becomes more or less like neutralized. So then these four enlightened activities are, the Buddha four enlightened activities are pacifying, enriching or increasing, subjugating or magnetizing, and wrathful or challenging. So these are the four enlightened activities that are repeated many, many times. And if you're joining us with the Bardo Total, you'll see that there's many references to this over and over again. So if we can't pacify something, a negativity, confusion, we're unable to pacify it. Maybe we can, maybe just by pacifying it, showing loving kindness, then it kind of moves up, and we increase our attention to it. We enrich it with knowledge, with understanding, with knowing more about what the nature of that negativity, or what that confusion, what that emotion is. So we enrich our understanding, our knowledge of what it is. If that doesn't work, then we move to the next level of magnetizing, of bringing it into us so that it can be subdued. So the Buddha has that power to be able to bring that in and subdue it, not to annihilate it, but to bring it and take its qualities of non-virtue, and be able to subdue them to the point that now they'll start listening, they'll start paying attention. They're not as crazed by their own egocentric behavior, that now they can take time to be able to listen to this. So that's subduing and magnetizing. And then if that doesn't work, then what we need to do is we need to dig deeper. We need to be more proactive, and we need to go and extract it, to bring it out. We need to challenge it, that negativity, that non-virtue, that confusion, and so on. So we say that it's wrathful activity, not that it's hatred, but it is pure, very intense compassion that we're doing this. So this is all related to ourselves, that we have these negative things within ourselves. So we try and pacify them. We try to enrich them. We try to subdue them, and we try to challenge them so that we can neutralize them, so that we can bring them onto the path, see them as our pure nature. Anybody have any questions about any of that? About the sadhana, the Yiddam Deity yoga, or the four enlightened activities? Does that make some sense?
Hey, Lance.
Yes.
Now, I guess as far as a peaceful deity versus a wrathful deity, how do you know that you are, I don't know, I guess in tune with one or the other? Is there is it just through practice, or is it through that you're drawn to one or another, or is it something that they pick you or you pick it, or just something that's just natural?
Well, it's something that you resonate with. It becomes very easy for you to resonate with some. Some you have to work at, and then later it becomes easy to resonate with them. So you can have many Yiddam deities. So you're working within yourself, and you're working and using the deities to help you to recognize that which is blocking up your true nature, right? So maybe it's Ch10 in the beginning, it's pacifying the bodhisattva of compassion, very calm, very, very cool, and so on like that. But then maybe that doesn't work so much. You need something stronger. So you go to Manjushri, who is the bodhisattva of wisdom, enriching, education. And if that doesn't work, then maybe you go to the next one, which would be Amitabha. Amitabha, the Buddha Amitabha, is the wisdom of discriminating awareness. So we have to, have a little bit more understanding, a little bit more power to be able to discriminate this, that, or the other thing. And then the last one would be Amagoga City, would be the challenging or the wrathful, or Vajrapani might be the Vajrapani is wrathful in that way. So you recognize that you have this negativity within yourself, and then you say, oh, is it being neutralized by the first level? No. Is it being neutralized in the second level? No. You go to the third level. Is it being neutralized there? If it's not being neutralized there, then you really got to seek it out and go to the fourth level. So these are choices, decisions that you're making. And we make this by exposing ourselves, by engaging in these deity yoga practices to become familiar with their activities. And then we begin to use it, and we begin to fit the pieces together. So I hope that answers your question. There wasn't a short answer to it.
Because not too long ago, I guess a few weeks ago, Garshin gave an empowerment for Vajrapani.
Mm-hmm.
Remember? It was what 3 weeks ago? No, maybe about a month
Right.
ago.
Right.
That was only my second empowerment that I got.
Right.
But I really resonated with that.
Okay.
And whenever I do the mantra, I can immediately see the Vajrapani.
Okay.
With the stance, I guess the facial expressions, the ornaments, everything comes vividly.
Holding the Vajra
Mm-hmm.
and the lasso in the other hand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it just seemed to have resonated really quickly.
Okay.
More so than than the because like I said, that was only my second empowerment. I don't know if the empowerment made a difference. Maybe, but I don't know. It just whenever I recite the mantra, it's immediate. It's really quickly that
you should respect that connection that you have and use that. And whether or not Vajrapani becomes your Yiddam for this time and space, enjoy it,
mm-hmm.
employ it, use it. And it may be extremely beneficial, exactly what you need. On the other hand, you may see that you need to move on in one direction or another, but you don't lose the one that you have.
Mm.
It just becomes part of the faculty, if you will.
Nice.
And it's all within ourselves. Remember, it's always, the true nature, the diamond, and it's all the different facets that are within us. So if you're resonating with that first, that's great. Respect that. Has anybody else had an experience or had some kind of a resonance with any of the other deity yogas that we might have done? Medicine Buddha or Ch10 or Manjushri? Yes, Bhavani. Go ahead. You can turn your microphone on. Leave it on.
I couldn't find the mouse.
Okay.
Definitely Medicine Buddha. That one immediately just connected with me really strongly.
Okay. So in saying that, is that in terms of being able to heal yourself because he is the Buddha of healing? Or is it in addition to that, healing others? How do you relate to that?
Oh, I think the main purpose of it is for healing others.
Okay.
Mm.
So that altruistic motivation of Medicine Buddha to help others, to heal others.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. Years ago, I learned the Medicine Buddha chant, and that's always been very special to me.
Okay. So Tom, going back to you and Vajrapani, how that power that the Vajrapani relates to, do you see that as digging into yourself, or do you see it as digging into others and helping others, or is it both?
Well, like I said, I mean, I wasn't before the empowerment, I've heard some explanations, Vajrapani, and I guess his way of skillful means. But it seems like after the empowerment, and I started, just I guess right after I started reciting the mantra. And when I started doing that, immediately, without closing my eyes or anything, I can visualize Vajrapani very vividly, very clearly, digging into myself. And I was like, wow, I've never really experienced anything like that, because I never really, no connection with Vajrapani.
Has it deepened your practice at all, or any
It definitely
commitment to
has.
your practice? How's it manifested?
It has, it really has. Every day I'll do maybe an hour of the mantra recitation. And it's just it's incredible how vivid things get. And I don't know, it just is, it's a connection that you have spoken about in the past, but I never felt. And I was meaning to talk to you about it, but since we're doing deity yoga tonight.
Oh, this is perfect. Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like I said, it's been very very helpful in a lot of ways, and I can connect with it. Is his wrathfulness, being so compassionate that he's willing to go to that means, or to that extreme, because he is so passionate.
Okay.
I can really totally relate to that.
Okay. Zara, have you had any kind of an experience like that, or or is this the first time that we're talking about deity yoga, that you've been part of this? What's your, what do you think about this?
Yeah, this is my first time. So yes, I'm mostly just trying to, I'm sure, like listen to try to
Okay.
like
All right.
academic, I'm academically listening, honestly.
All right, that's good.
Okay.
That's good. Okay.
I just want to clarify, Tom, you said you do this practice an hour every morning?
No, the recitation.
Oh, okay.
It's a recitation that I do for about an hour, about 40 minutes to an hour. And as I do it, it's very natural. It flows. I mean, but before I got this empowerment, I really didn't practice or do anything, with Vajrapani. But it seems like after the empowerment, it really resonated with me. And Lance has spoken about these things, and I can I'm starting to really relate. It's taken me a while, but it's it's how visual it can get. And that's I don't know, that's
good.
It's different.
Okay. Michael, how about you? Have you, in your meditation and your practice, and discussing, the deity yoga, have you had any, connection with that at all?
Yeah, similar to Tom, I did an empowerment, I forget how long ago, on Dharmapala Mahakala. And it just real. I mean, resonance is a good word. I really seem to understand the Dharma, the activity of Mahakala, and whenever I practice with the morning with the Kempo's morning group, 9 times out of 10 I end up getting assigned the Mahakala to read and chant, and it's just it's become special to me in a way, and it's kind of curious because it's he's wrathful, but in what I gathered during the instruction from Garshan Rinpoche is that he's like all of these deities, he represents all of them, but Mahakala is kind of special in that he comes at it with from a fierce nature, but his compassion, he's wearing it on his sleeve. So he's the kind of deity that you want to have next to you in battle and next to you if you're wounded, So yeah, I mean, I haven't done a lot more practice with Mahakala. I mean, I've done it a few times outside of that morning practice, and it might have been the effect of the empowerment and the transmission and just the clarity with which I seem to understand the teaching.
Very good. Okay.
And I like there's a relationship with Achi and with Tara that's stated in the sadhana. So it's like it's implicit that he doesn't travel alone.
Do you see it in terms of yourself, or do you see it in terms of working with others?
Can you restate that question?
The Mahakala, the deity, do you see the manifestation of the activity of Mahakala manifesting within yourself for your own benefit? Or do you see it that it's just kind of passing through you, and now you're working with other beings and manifesting that activity with relationships with other people?
I mean, I think I've internalized it.
So that's where it stays?
I think it's part of my toolkit. I think I can walk around with it, but at the same time, I think that on the highest possible level, I admire his multiple talents, multi-purposing and multi-skilled, and I think that does affect my relationship with others.
So over the past year or so, that you maybe a year and a half now that we've been working together in 101, have you seen a change in the way that you deal with other people as a result of learning the Dharma and practicing these different aspects?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, Lance, I wanted to share you all with something that's funny. There was actually, to your point, the question you just made, because it just happened today. This lady was walking her dog on the wrong side of the street, like she wasn't using the sidewalk in my neighborhood, and I took a left. I live in an apartment building, and she was not walking on the sidewalk sock, and she came up to my car and she yelled at me and said, "You almost hit my dog." So she wasn't using the right pathway, like for pedestrian traffic anyways. And she said, she started doing this, all these things. And I just looked at her and I said, "I apologize. Thank you for letting me know." And it like shook her up. She didn't know what to do with that. Like she said, "Oh, okay." But a year ago, 2 years ago, I would have gotten defensive and got into a fight with her and said, how dare you? You were on the wrong side of the street. But I just let it go. I said, thank you for letting me know. I apologize. That happened about 2 hours ago. And I literally had a moment and I said, oh, okay, I'm a better human now. I'm a better person, because 2 years ago, I would have thought about it all night. It would have ruined my night.
All right, so let me ask you this. What enlightened activity do you think that was an expression of?
Well, I mean, I had compassion for her in that moment, for her and her dog.
Well, what are the four, wait a minute. What are the four activities?
I don't, Michael, Tom, help me. Phone a friend. Someone's going to help me right now.
So
Lance, help me.
it's obvious then you're not taking notes.
No, I'm trying to take
And
notes.
your memory is like a sieve. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well then, it's
tell me.
It's pacifying.
Okay.
It's enriching or increasing. It's magnetizing or subduing. And it's wrathfulness or challenging.
Okay.
So out of those four then,
Ooh.
which of those activities did you apply in that encounter that you had? All right, anybody
Pacifying.
You think?
I'm gonna go with that final answer.
Okay. What would it have been that you thought you might have been doing a year ago, or as you expressed some time ago, that you would have, done, you would have had a different reaction? What would that have been?
I would have been angry. I mean, I would have been angry. You're talking
Angry.
about an emotional reaction.
So it
Yeah.
wouldn't even have been an enlightened activity at that time.
Oh, no.
Okay. All right. Well, you see, this is the point, is being able to recognize these things within ourselves, because this is what we have. This is our working basis. This is what we need to transform into our Buddha nature. If we're got all this confusion and everything, so we need to identify all these different aspects so that we can employ them, so we can learn them ourselves and we can teach them to others.
So, Lance, would you just, for the sake of me writing these down, would you just say those one more time again? I'm literally writing them in the back. I know you always say to write notes.
Okay.
It's on the handout and in the book.
Like right now, in the one we're using right now?
Yeah,
in
it's
the
on
book.
page 80.
I have notes in here. I don't like writing. I like putting Post-it notes. I know you said to write in it, but I don't. I see it right there. Right
So
here.
what's it say? What are the enlightened activities then? Okay, read it to me.
Okay. It's a footnote in my defense: pacifying, increasing, subjugating, and wrathful activity.
Okay, good. All right.
All right.
I'm trying to create some eye-hand coordination here.
It's happening.
Trying to seal some process here.
It's happening right now. So what you're encouraging us to do is, in these moments, is to stop and then have almost an academic application of what did I just do?
Yeah, as long as we need the academic, but then we want it to be completely natural, because
Okay.
it is our natural way to be compassionate. It is our nature to be loving kindness. It is our nature to be joyful, and our nature to be having that sameness. But it's our ego that gets in the way.
Okay. All right.
So we're trying to discard, or we're trying to dig through all that blockage, all those obscurations, all those emotions. So,
Okay.
and becoming mindful of this, this is the Eightfold Path. Let's relate it back to the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path, the seventh of the Eightfold Path, is mindfulness.
Right.
Meditative concentration, or not, well, meditative concentration. So being able to recognize what it is that you're doing at all times. Being mindful of what it is that you're doing. If you're being poorly mindful, that you recognize that and you set about to fix it. Or if you've done the right thing, that you recognize that and you feel happy and you rejoice for that. And anybody else around you. All right, so this was a good exercise in being able to see the application of this.
Thank you.
You know? Okay, so the next thing that we want to talk about here is practicing the deity. So whether it's White Tara or it's Shenrezig or Vajrapani or Mahakala or Medicine Buddha, whichever deity it is, that we enjoy doing this and we look forward to it. You know, that we don't do it. It's not a labor of love. It's more, it's a labor of, it's not even a labor. We wouldn't classify it as a labor. It's just something that we do because we like to do it. We want to do it. We enjoy it. So we relax and we enjoy, while we're doing it, there should be no anxiety. There should be no feeling of competitiveness or having to finish this or something. We should be sitting comfortably. We should be sitting on a cushion. We should be sitting on our sit bones. We should be, you know, our legs should be either crossed if we're sitting on the floor, or if we're sitting on a chair, that our legs should be stable and together. It shouldn't be a you know, sloppy posture. We should have objects of reminders around us, either pictures of the Buddha, picture of the deity that we're about to do, bowls, you know, our offering bowls, a candle, incense burning. You know, there should be objects around us in this space when we're doing this practice to help keep us focused, to kind of set the environment as being a special, sacred, holy environment for this space and time that we're going to be doing this practice. So we should have these objects. We can do this anytime. It doesn't matter whether we do it in the morning, late at night, or any time in between. It doesn't matter. What is helpful to us is to be able to do it at a consistent time, saying that we're making a daily practice out of this. So we want to do it at a consistent time. And it is really, really good to do it first thing in the morning. And the reason for that is you haven't had any distractions, or they've been minimal, you know, first thing in the morning compared to something later in the day or something, things to upset your day or to give you cause to be distracted when you're sitting down to do your practice. So first thing in the morning is really the most beneficial time. So other than that, you know, just be comfortable, be relaxed. Sometimes you might want to wear special clothing, you know, that there's something about your being that is, you know, saying, okay, this is a special time. So I have a special shirt I wear, or a special shawl that I use, or something like that. Tara or any of these deities are completely virtuous. Everything that they do with their body, speech, and mind is virtuous for the benefit of the enlightenment of all beings. So Tara, any of these deities, is pure virtue. So we should remember that there's not a negative bone in their body, so to speak. And everything that they do is beneficial, and that we are resonating with this, we are aligning with this. And that so this practice so the practice of doing this can only be virtuous. There's not a mistake that we can make that would cause it to suddenly become unvirtuous, because it has that ability to be able to neutralize anything that any stray thoughts that we might have. You know, say we're in the middle of a practice and we start having thoughts of anger about somebody or some situation or something like that, but within the confine of doing that practice, that can be neutralized right away through the virtue of the deity. So as I said before, the empowerment is not necessary, but you should take the empowerment when you can. So now we move to the structure of the sadhana. What is the structure of the sadhana? So we talk about the three excellences of the sadhana. So these three are the causes of Buddhism, the causes of aligning ourselves with the Buddha Dharma. So the first one is to establish a refuge, a mind of refuge and bodhicitta. This is the first cause, to establish a motivation, a pure motivation. The second is to create and maintain a focus, a non-distraction focus on the deity, a mindfulness on the deity, a one-pointedness on the deity, and that we are learning to align ourselves with that deity, to recognize that deity is within ourselves, so allow that skillful means and that wisdom of that deity to come up. So we're focusing on that deity through non-distraction, through a discipline being activated here. And the third cause of the Buddhism is to have a conclusion to this. What is the conclusion to this? The conclusion to this is the dedication of the merit, of the wisdom, of the skillful means that we accumulate during this practice, that we're dedicating to the enlightenment of other beings. So these are the three causes of the Buddha practice, of the Buddha Dharma. So the first excellence of doing this is the refuge prayer. The bodhicitta prayer would be the second one. So when we say the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached, that's the most important prayer. And that we're taking refuge, we're setting our motivation there. And then after we set our motivation, then we start to do the practice. And we continue that. That's the long part. And the practice has many parts to it. There's a generation part where we are visualizing the deity. We are generating the visualization of the deity. So in this, as we're looking at page 54 and page 55 in the Deity Yoga book, in this Tara practice. So on page 54 is the refuge and cultivation of bodhicitta. So you can see that. It's labeled very clearly. Not all these sadhanas are labeled quite this way. On page 55 is the visualization. So this is the generation stage of the deity yoga, going through and visualizing the atmosphere, the mandala, if you will, what the deity looks like, what accoutrements they have, what they're wearing, their adornments, the color of their body, and what implements they have in their hands, and so on. So this is sealing that. And what we should do when we do this to help us is for us not to just recite these, but to actually use our body, use our hands to be holding these things ourselves. So in the case of white Tara, our right hand is at our knee, our right knee, and we're holding the stem of a flower, of a lotus flower. And our left hand is up at our heart like this, our heart level, in the protection mudra. So we should be sitting in this position with our right hand at our right knee, our left hand at our heart like this, holding the stem of lotus flowers. And this helps us to become the embodiment, to recognize this deity within ourselves. And that white Tara has 7 eyes. So she's got her 2 normal eyes that we see with our body, but she also has the wisdom eye at her forehead. And she also has eyes in the palm of her 2 hands. And she also has eyes in the soles of her 2 feet. So this is enabling her to see and to be able to actualize the wisdom and the skillful means that is her activity to bring purity, to bring fearlessness, to bring long life to beings, to recognize this within themselves. The activity of white Tara is purification, is long life. White Tara is long life. And green Tara is fearlessness. So Tara is the mother of all the deities. So the wisdom of all the Buddhas is born from the womb of Tara. So this is very, very, very significant, very important. So to recognize this, and so you recognize yourself as Tara, whether you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. You know, we've got this all within ourselves, and we need to be able to become the embodiment of this. So you visualize, you can close your eyes, but visualize that your eyes are open and that you see everything with wisdom eyes. You see the wisdom of the suffering of beings. You see the confusion that they're going through. You know how to help them with your hands. You know how to go to them with your feet, because you have the eyes of wisdom and skillful means to know how to actualize that. So this is the visualization. This is the generation stage of any of the deities that we're working with. And in this case, it's white Tara. So we're creating this vivid realization. We call this recollection of the deity, the recollection of the deity. We're reading it, then we close our eyes and we're recollecting what it is. So you've got your meditation cards. You see the image of white Tara, and then you should be able to close your eyes and be able to visualize it. And by doing what I was suggesting, embodying yourself to be that deity, it makes it that much easier to bring that visualization in. And then if you open your eyes, then you see the deity, say, oh yes, you know, there I am. There is Tara. So then with that, we develop what we call divine pride, deity, divine pride. Now, this is not the kind of pride that is a harmful pride, a negative pride. This is a positive pride of recognizing that we have this holiness within ourselves, that we have this sacredness within ourselves. And there's a pridefulness with that. There's a pridefulness of wisdom, a pridefulness of compassion, of bodhicitta. So it's not that I'm better than somebody else. It's that I have this essence, this Buddha essence that is within me. So we feel that. So any sensations, any thoughts of jealousy, any thoughts of hatred, any thoughts of envy, any thoughts of greediness are overcome immediately through this understanding of white Tara. So then there is the offering mantra that we're recognizing that we've got this within ourselves. We're visualizing, we can start the visualization with the deity being above and in front of us. So here's a card of the deity. So you can hold it up above your head, the crown of your head like this, and kind of out of your sight, but it's above you and it's in front of you. And what we're wanting to do is to bring that and bring that so that the deity is on the crown of your head. And then through the practice, the deity manifests into light and then comes down through the crown of your head into your heart center. And then, so the deity is there, you visualize that. So in the beginning, we start with the deity up like this, in front of ourselves, above ourselves. And in doing that, we're bringing the deity in. So we make the offerings. So we're offering this deity first as a guest, because we may not be stable in that. So just like we're inviting someone to come into our home, we're inviting a guest, we're inviting the deity to come in, and we're offering the drinking water, we're offering the washing water, we're offering the flowers, the incense, the candlelight, the perfume, the scented water, the food, and the music. So we're making these offerings and reciting the offering mantra. Om Ayatari Sapari Vara Pratitsa Soha. So this is on page 56 that we're offering this. So we're offering this for the deity to come in and become one with us. And then after that, then we praise the Buddha, we praise the deity. So on page 57, here's the praise. It's a short praise. The crowns of gods and demigods pay homage to your lotus feet. You who liberate from all unfavorable conditions, I praise and prostrate to Mother Tara. So here is her activity. It says, you who liberate from all unfavorable conditions. So it's a broad statement, but that's, broadly, that's what she is doing to bring us liberation from anything that is difficult, unfavorable conditions. So then we say, on page 57, then we say, Za, Hong, Bam, Ho. So we use these mudras. So this first one is, we're hooking ourselves to the deity. So if we can just visualize the deity that is just right outside of ourselves, and we're hooking ourselves to the deity so that it doesn't disappear. And then we bind ourselves to the deity. So the first one is like this iron hook that we are hooking them. Then the second one, now we're switching our hands, and our left forefinger is on our right little finger. And now we're binding ourselves. So we visualize as a lasso, as a rope, that we're binding ourselves up with the deity. And then we are chaining ourselves. So now we're Za Hong Bam. So we're chaining ourselves, we're linking ourselves up, locking ourselves up so that we can't escape from the deity. So, and the deity certainly isn't going to escape from us, so that we can be there with the deity and not lose the deity. So that's Za Hong Bam. And then Ho, then we are making the mudra of a bell. And we are ringing the bell in our mind with this mudra, celebrating this union of coming together, of being one with the deity. So it's like a celebration, being happy. It's a happiness. So rejoicing. So Za, Hong, Bam, Ho. So not every sadhana might have this in here. In this book, this is a collection of concise practices. Concise. This was done for the benefit of Western people who weren't raised in the culture of doing Buddhist practice and going to a temple and spending all day there or all weekend or 4 or 5 days straight in doing these very long elaborated practices. So in those practices, all these elements would be there, but in this book here is concise. So some of these elements may not be expressed, but what they are conveying what they mean is there, and we need to be able to recognize that. So, so these offerings are an example of that. The praise is an example of that. This za hong bam ho, this linking up and this being joyful of this is an example of that. So then we recite, that all enlightened beings dissolve inseparably with me, and I am one of them, and so on like that. So I got to keep moving along because I want to get through this evening. And then we come to the part which is the mantra recitation. So here it is giving us the meaning of the mantra, is giving us the inner meaning. So here it says, in the heart chakra of myself is Tara, and a wheel in the center of which is the white syllable Tom. So if we look on page 58, or if you look in your cards, you'll see that there is a Tom syllable in the in one of the pictures there. And you see the white syllable on page 58 right here in the book. Here's the white Tara card. So here's a picture of white Tara. And then here is the white Tom, and surrounding the white Tom is the mantra in the Tibetan. And there's also a card in there that has the English, that if it's easier for you to visualize the English of the mantra, that's fine. But it is important to get familiar with the Tom syllable, which means purifies. The Tom means purifies. And then here is an elucidation of what the recitation means. And then comes the mantra itself. Om Tari Tutari Tare Mama Ayurjana Pushne Pushtim Kuru Soha. And on the back of these cards is the translation, the English translation of each of those phrases, of each of those Sanskrit words. This mantra is in Sanskrit. All the mantras, I think all the ones that I've encountered are always in Sanskrit. So this is why we recite them. We may recite the other visualizations, the other instructions in English, and it's not necessary to recite them in Tibetan. We need to understand the meaning of them so we can recite them in English. If you want to recite them in Tibetan, that's fine. When we're with the Lama, with the monastic, then we might recite it in the Tibetan, want to do that. And we're meeting the Lama halfway, so to speak, because he's learned English. We're learning to recite these things in Tibetan out of respect. But it's most important to understand the meaning of this in your own language. But in the case of the Sanskrit, then there is a translation for us. And so we should be familiar with that translation. So I don't need to go through the detail of that. And then, so this is what we would call the accumulation mantra. The accumulation mantra. So we recite this over and over again to make the accumulations of the recitations for the sake of merit, for the sake of our wisdom, for the sake of merit. And the more that we do this, the more that we accumulate, the more that what happens, our mindfulness becomes perfectly one-pointed. And we're not thinking with the brain anymore. The brain kind of just focuses on the sounds of each of the syllables of the Sanskrit mantra. It's not thinking about the meaning of it, but it's resonating. The body then begins to resonate with those vibrations. The brain is just coming together with those syllables. Om Tari Tutari Tare Mama Ayurjana Punye Pushtam Kuru Soha, without elaborating on it. And then what happens is, I've said this many times, it's like a key that opens up the lock of our spiritual body. And then the wisdom that is within us has been there all this time gets released. And then we start having glimpses. Then we start having, oh yes, I see how Tara is within me. I see how I am Tara. I see how Tara manifests. I see how I can be Tara for myself and I can be Tara for other beings. This wisdom comes up about how you do that, of recognizing that. This is the purpose of the practice, to have that experience like that. And so it's the accumulation mantra that is the key to being able to unlock that, to be able to open that up. Generally, for most of us, it's not going to happen by reciting it 5 times or 21 times or 100 times. A mile around 108 times. It's going to take several mile rounds. It may take, you would do mile rounds, say in odd numbers, say you do it in 3 mile rounds, or maybe 5, or maybe 7, or 9, or 11, or 21, something like that. So if you can say to yourself, okay, I'm going to do this practice, I'm going to say I'm going to do this practice for an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours, whatever you can do, and then fill the bulk of that time with doing this accumulation mantra. This is where the key opens up the heart. This is where the spirituality is realized. So the most amount of your time is spent doing this accumulation mantra to maximize the benefit that you might have, to maximize the glimpses that you would have of this. You may not have that glimpse. You may not have an epiphany. You may not have any kind of a realization, but the more that you do it, the easier it becomes. And the more rested you become, the more mindful you become, the less you have to go through the mechanics of this. And the simpler, the more natural this whole process becomes. And then the manifestation of the realization comes. Are there any questions about any of this? I know some of you have done, meditation. It's important to do these mantras out loud, not whispering. In the beginning, you do them loudly and forcefully. You're setting up the vibration.
Lance, so just because I've got the card, I apologize. I don't know why I didn't realize I had it in the deck. So I've got the card out. So for purposes of me incorporating this, let's say, into my daily practice, I do my meditation. Right now I'm at 15 minutes with the timer, breathing. I'm focused on my breathing. Where does this practice incorporate? In the beginning of the day is what you've said, right? Before there's...
Oh, that's the best time, yes.
Okay. So how would I would do my 15 minutes where I'm just focusing on my breathing, correct? And then I would go into this.
Well, depending on how much time, you can incorporate that, the meditation part, into this practice. So
Okay.
you do your opening prayers first.
Right.
You
Yep.
set your motivation. Then you go right into the white tar practice or the deity yoga practice.
Okay.
Okay, you do that. And then we're going to get to the point where you then do what's called the dissolution. And that would be the meditation part. So in other words,
I see.
So you're incorporating that 15 minutes now becomes part of the deity yoga practice.
Okay.
If your time is limited. If you have lots of time and you wanted to do a quiet meditation at the very beginning, that's fine. But, here we're being just a little bit more efficient in our time management and being able to incorporate these things into a more concise practice, a more beneficial practice. Does that make sense?
yes, I think so. So I'm reciting literally these words on the back of the card over and over out loud, correct?
Correct. So if you look on page 58,
Yeah.
and if you look on maybe the front of that card, maybe it's written, or on the other cards it's written, I know.
Yeah.
Tari, Tutari, Tare, Mama, Ayurjana, Punye, Pushtam, Kuru, Soha. And you can chant it, just by doing what I just said, or there's a melody to it. Tari, Tutare, Ture, Mama, Ayurjana, Punye, Pushtam, Kuru, Soha. Tari, Tutare, Ture, Mama, Ayurjana, Punye, Pushtam, Kuru, Soha. And if you need that melody, I can send you that melody, in a voice file, and you can use that. The melodies are very useful in being able to, it's a very friendly way to memorize the mantra. Doing it, chanting is a little more difficult. Once we get it done with the melody, then it becomes much easier to be able to chant it, because as you begin to get more familiar with the melody, then you can go Tari, Tutari, Tare, Mama, Ayurjana, Punye, Pushtam, Kuru, Soha. Tari, Tutari, Tare, Mama, Ayurjana, Punye, Pushtam, Kuru, Soha. So being able to accomplish a mile around, 2 mile rounds, 3 mile rounds, whatever, in a period of time becomes more realistic.
So you're talking about this.
Yes.
Okay, so y'all can tell I'm slow. I'm like my IQ is so slow.
It's okay. That's what we're here for.
Tom, you're like, I'm not judging you, Sarah. Okay, so I'm understanding. So I'm holding these, reciting those words, and then this is 100 on here.
108.
108. Okay. And then you're saying the goal would be how many? Is there a target that you're working up to?
1 mile around at a time. So you do 1 mile around. Maybe that's going to take you, say, 15 minutes to do 1 mile around.
Okay.
Okay. And you say, okay, I've allotted myself time to do 1 mile around, or maybe I've allotted myself time to do 2 mile rounds or 3 mile rounds or whatever. And you find that the more that you can do, the more that mindfulness, that one-pointed mindfulness, becomes attained.
Okay. So okay, that makes sense. Okay. So then I would do this opening prayers, this, let's say 1 mile around, then I can go into my meditation with breath focus.
All right, then let me continue back to the practice.
Okay.
Okay. So now an important point here is now to know the meaning of this mantra. So here you've got, the empirical definition of these things. Om, the body, speech, and mind of all the Buddhas, the Tara who liberates from great fears, freedom from all sickness and diseases, to me, longevity, wisdom, good fortune, increase, so be it. So you could write your own sentence as to how you would put this together in a prose English sentence, that all these elements are in there in a way that you can memorize, because you want to know the meaning of the mantra that you're reciting. You're not just, blindly reciting this. It's not like abracadabra, and then something magical is going to happen. It's by understanding the meaning of this, the power of this, the vibration of this. The reason why we're doing this in Sanskrit is because this is what the language of the Buddha was. So we're aligning ourselves with this ancient language that is the root language of the Hindu, of the Tibetan, of the languages of that area, and so on. So each of these syllables are charged with a sacred meaning, a sacred vibration. So knowing the meaning is helpful in being able to allow ourselves to resonate, to open up that spiritual body, that spiritual realization of the actualization the practice of the mantra. Okay, so once we do that, so now we finished that, we've done a mala round, 2 mala rounds, whatever we can do. And now we are making offerings, and now we are visualizing ourselves as Tara, because Tara, we're vibrating with Tara. And now we're making these offerings to all beings. So we're repeating these offerings on page 59. We're repeating these now, the drinking water, the washing water, etc., to all beings. So here, when we do pratitsa, we're doing pratitsa in the beginning part, we're doing it like this, because the deities, we want the deities to come in. So we're doing this so that we're pratitsa. I make this offering to those deities within me. At this part, the second part, when we're making the offerings, now we're doing the offerings like this, with our hands out like this, and we're making this, I offer this to all beings, because now I'm visualizing everyone as Tara. This is part of the process of not just transforming ourselves, but now we are recognizing the Dharmakaya, that all beings are Dharmakaya. All beings are Tara. And it's only been our misinterpretation of what we've been seeing that sees all these different human beings as people that I hate, people that I don't like, people that hate me, all these different things that we've differentiated these people, instead of seeing them all the same as the Buddha, seeing them all the same as Tara. So we're making these offerings to all those Buddhas now. This is creating mindfulness. These are things that we do that are helping us to solidify our mindfulness of what it is to be this deity. We're training ourselves to do this. This is part of ritual. This is the function of ritual, to do this.
So Lance, anytime there's a second offering, it always goes out.
Correct.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
I'm sorry, and I'm taking notes. When you say offering, what do you mean when you said that question, Tom? It goes out.
Well, in the sadhana, there's an offering.
I see it right here on the book. It says offering. Okay.
On page 56.
Okay.
So bringing it in. And then on page 59, there's another offering that we're offering to all the others. Once that.
So let me answer the question. Wait a minute. Do you know what the 8 offerings are?
I'm going to say I don't know. Or if I do, I'm not going to be able to verbalize it.
All right, well then write them down. All right, Tom, do you know,
Okay.
you know what they are, right? What is it? It's on one of the cards?
So yeah, the cards that the last page.
Yeah, if you look at the last card in the pack, the offerings are there.
Last page.
Okay.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
So we're visualizing that the deity is like a guest. If a guest comes into your house, you offer them something to drink.
Okay.
You offer them something to wash themselves. If you're, from the culture of India, somebody walked miles and miles and miles across dusty, unpaved roads to get to your house in the heat. So you offer them something to wash their feet, their face, and their hands.
Okay.
And then you offer them flowers, because that puts a smile on your face and puts a smile on their face.
Okay.
And then you're offering incense. You burn incense to ward away any evil demons, any evil thoughts, negativity, or something like that. And then you're bringing them into your home. So you're meeting them outside your home. And then you invite them in, but now you come inside and it's a little bit dark. So you light candles or butter lamps. So the light. So you're making the offering of light to dispel darkness, the wisdom that dispels ignorance, darkness. And then you're offering scented water, perfume. You put that on, it's hot and it's sticky. You put this on, it evaporates right away and has a cooling effect and has a nice smell. And then now you're offering a meal, you're offering food, right? And then now it's time to rejoice. Now it's time to let's dance, let's sing, let's party. So you're playing musical instruments. So these are the 8 offerings.
Okay, so, and actually that was very helpful. I've been to India. I could literally visualize what you just said happening for real. So that makes complete sense. Okay, so what does second offering mean though? You said out. Tom, you said it goes outward. What did you mean when you said that sentence?
You're offering it to all sentient beings.
Who are now the Buddha. You're visualizing all beings as the Buddha.
Okay. So it doesn't necessarily correspond to any, these are the 8 offerings, but you're not saying like you're doing the first or second one with your hands. I'm literally
doing them all.
correct.
So it goes like this.
Okay.
So you're going like this. So what you're doing is you visualize that your left hand is a bowl and your right hand is like scooping. The bowl is holding the Dharma, elixir in it. So you're taking your right hand and you're scooping that Dharma elixir and you're bringing it into your heart center. So the blessings, you're bringing the blessings in. And then you reverse hands. Now your right hand, you take your left hand and you're scooping the blessings from the bowl again into your heart center. So you're alternating, bringing the blessings in. Okay. So you're saying Om, Arya, Tari, Sapari, Vara. So Om is the body, speech, and mind of the deity. In this case, it's Arya, the noble. Tara, Sapari, Vara means, and your retinue, your family, your entourage. So Om, Arya, Tari, Sapari, Vara. Om, Buddha, noble, Tara, and your entourage. I make this offering. I'm offering, here's the drinking water. So I'm making the mudra of drinking water.
Okay.
And then we say pratitsa. Pratitsa says, here is the offering. I'm making the offering. And then soha. So in the East, in India, in Nepal and Tibet, the verbs come at the end of the sentence.
Okay. Makes sense.
So we're saying, here's the offer. Here, I'm offering drinking water. Or they say, here's drinking water. I offer it to you. Then the next one is, here's washing water. So you go, Om Aya Tare Sapari Vara Argam Pratitsa Soha. So be it. May it be accomplished. Om Aya Tare Sapari Vara Padyam, washing water. You're scooping water up out of a bowl to wash your feet, your face, and your hands. Padyam, pratitsa, soha. Om Arya Tare Sapari Vara. Pushpam, pratitsa, soha. This is the flowers opening up. You see this?
Mm-hmm.
Like this. The flowers are opening up. Pratitsa, soha. Om Arya Tare Sapari Vara. Dupam. This is the incense.
Okay.
See my hand? Incense.
Okay.
Pratitsa, soha. Om Arya Tare Sapari Vara. I'm sorry. Alokam. Alokam. The light. So this is like a candle light or a butter lamp. So your thumb is the flame and your fingers all coming together is like the body of the lamp. So here's the flame making offering pratitsa, soha. Om, Arya, Tare, Sapari, Vara, Gande. So this is perfume, scented water. So you can say that the palm of your hand and your thumb and your ring, your forefinger is the bottle, and this is the aroma of the evaporating perfume. Okay, that's Gande. Pratitsa. So your left hand is in towards your heart, and your right hand at the wrist is on the outside of the left, like that. Pratitsa, soha. Soha. So be it. And then Om, Arya, Tare, Sapari, Vara, Nuiteam. So this is your offering food, a plate of food. Pratitsa, soha. And then Arya, Tare, Sapari, Vara, Sapari, Vara, Shapta, Shapta, Pratitsa, soha. So this is music. You're playing a drum. You see this? You're playing a drum. So, and then if you have a bell, if you have damaru, horns, and so on, this is the rejoicing. So at the same time, we would bring all those if we had those. If you don't have those, then you just continue Shapta by playing the drum until the rejoicing part is over. Pratitsa soha. So those are the 8 offerings.
So I thank you for your patience with me first. Let me say
No,
that.
this is fine.
So I noticed I noticed like in doing this, which is good, I recognize there's 8 lines and those are the 8 offerings. You see how slow I am this evening. Okay, so that's helpful. And then so literally if I'm going to incorporate this practice, just so I can understand the sequence is I'm doing my opening prayers.
Well, just following the book.
Oh, that's it. It's that simple. It's just literally like page by page. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm overthinking, I guess. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Lance.
Let me ask you a question. Wait a minute. I got to ask you a question. Do you see the power of this?
Yes, I do. Yes, I definitely do. Yeah.
Do you appreciate the power of this?
Yes. Yeah. You taking the time to go over this card right here, it just makes so much sense from like the practicality of it and then also the spirituality of it. It makes sense.
Well, thanks for Tom for remembering that. So, so this is getting ourselves into a spiritual practice. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so before and this is just, I guess the 101 version of someone who's trying to incorporate these behaviors and practices. I was doing this, I do this daily, one round after I do my breathing meditation for 15 minutes, and I do Om Hung, like very slowly.
Right.
And so that's what I do now. But would this incorporate or would this supersede this practice?
Okay. All right. So when you're doing the mantra, Om Tari Tutari Tare Mama Ayurjana Punye Pushtam Kuru Soha. So with each recitation of that mantra is 1 bead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Om Ahung, you're doing 1 bead for 3 syllables.
Right.
Now you're doing this whole sentence is 1 bead.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously it's going to take you quite a bit longer than it did to do the Om Ahung.
Right.
And you're doing it with your left hand. You're holding the beads with your left hand. You start with the guru bead, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then your left hand, and you're pulling the beads one at a time in towards the left part of your body. So you're pulling it in with the left, with your thumb. Can you see that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you get to the last bead, and you get back to the guru bead.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 1 round. That's 108 beads, 108 recitations. And then when you get to the guru bead, you turn the mala around. You don't cross over the guru bead. It's like crossing over enlightenment. So it's a mindfulness thing again. You know, it's only symbolic.
Okay.
It's only symbolic, but it's creating a mindfulness of what we're doing. You know, it's all part of this ritual stuff, you know, and the ritual stuff is there to stabilize our mind, to stabilize our practice, to open up our spirituality, which has been suppressed our whole lives for most of us and for lives before that. So we need to be able to mechanically do these things, understand the meaning of those things, and then what happens is it opens up our natural, our true nature, what we truly are, that has been taken away from us. Society has been trying to standardize everything that we do away from spirituality, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the calendars, you know, have all been standardized to this artificial year that we have and so on. And all these nations are trying to say, you know, oh, you know, religion is the enemy of the people or something like that.
Right.
And more, it's affecting more and more people around the world. You know, they talk about that we're becoming so spiritually bankrupt. And it becomes mechanized. You know, it seems to be a money-making operation. So anyway, so back to the beads. So we're doing that. So then, so we turn the beads around the other direction. We come from the direction that we just came in, and we get to the guru bead, we turn it around. So you can make marks on a piece of paper to say, okay, this is 1 mile around. This is another mile around, however many you could do. You could have some stones, some little pebbles that you keep on your table that each one represents a mile around. You know, our goal would be to be able to do 10 mile rounds. That would be saying something.
In a day, or like in just in one sitting, or in a
session.
day? And one, so
In a
consecutive.
session.
Consecutive.
In a session.
Okay.
In a session.
Okay.
And then you're going to get to a point doing that. You're going to get to a point where you're going to be on the verge, if you haven't already, of blowing your mind. You know, and I say that, you know, with a big smile on my face. But the point is that you now just become pure nature, your true nature, happy, joyous, bodhicitta. All the other junk you have just marginalized. You know, it's all gone away.
Tom, is that what you were describing you do in the morning? Like you have something like your practice is, okay. So that takes, and how many rounds are you doing? On the,
10.
oh, you are doing, so you are, that's what you described as takes 40 minutes to an hour.
Oh no, to do 10 what I'm doing, it takes over an hour.
Because
Oh,
he's
okay.
doing a longer mantra.
Okay.
But as far as you being slow, Zara, if you're slow, I'm a total dumbass. Okay. Yeah, no, you're very up with it. Don't.
All right. Well, let me continue because I'd like to get this finished quickly. So forgive me.
Okay.
So now we go. So now we've made this offering to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that we see all in front of us, all in the world, and then we recite the praise. Okay, the bottom of page 59. Okay. Now we go to the next page, 60, which is the dissolution. This is the meditation. So here we recite this. It says, I make the offerings, give praise, and then dissolve into the state of non-duality. So here's where we can use our breathing exercise. Here's where we can visualize the deity coming down into our heart center. The tom is at the syllable. Light is radiating to all beings. You know, we can visualize the breathing in and out. What the best thing to do, the most powerful thing to do, would be to go back to page 58 for a moment, or use your card, and the tom syllable, the white tom syllable, that you visualize that the white tom syllable is from the bottom to the top, is dissolving, is disappearing. And at the very top, if you look at the card, at the very top, there's a little squiggle that's called the nada. And it's like a little flame. And that little flame, that we focus on the little flame, and it becomes invisible, and it goes into the emptiness. It goes into shunyata. It goes into the meditation mind. So that's called the dissolution, that you're dissolving all the world. Everything is all dissolving into white Tara. White Tara dissolves into light. The light of white Tara dissolves into you, into your heart center. There is the tom syllable, which is dissolving from the bottom up into the nada, and the nada then dissolves into the emptiness, into the shunyata, into the meditation. And then you hold that meditation for as long as you can. And if a thought comes, you let the thought go. But if the thought becomes disruptive and you say, oh, I really want to go back to my meditation, you just let the thought go and you come back to the dissolution, and then get yourself back to that mind of meditation, to that mind of Mahamudra, to that mind of emptiness. So maybe it's the breathing. You use the breathing technique. Any of those techniques are fine. You do this over and over again, and then you find a way that becomes natural. It becomes very second nature to you. You just flow with it. You'll memorize this whole practice. It's going to take a while to do that. But if you choose to use this practice or any of the other practices, that's the stabilization of doing the practice. This becomes your Yiddam Deity. And you do this over and over again for a period of time. Maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's a year, maybe it's 2 years, whatever it is. But it's enjoyable. You do it because you want to do it. And you give yourself time to be able to reap the benefit, to be able to see the changes that it's making in your life.
Okay.
So then your meditation is over. So maybe, you set a timer, say, okay, I've got 5 minutes to do this, or I got 10 minutes or 15. So you can use a timer, or you can just let yourself, naturally go through this process of doing that. Some people like to have a time. I like to have a timer most of the time, and say, okay, I can do this till 10 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And I set a timer for myself. And that way I'm not looking at the clock, because I need other things that I've got to do from a practical standpoint. So I'm giving myself till 10 o'clock to do this, and then I can go do other things. But the point is that you allow yourself to be relaxed during this meditation time. And then when you come out of the meditation, because the timer went off, or because your thoughts have come to the point where you've lost your meditation of no thought, and you're constantly being reminded of your ordinariness. So now you dedicate. Now comes the dedication on page 60. And you're dedicating the merit of this to the benefit of all enlightened beings. So you recite, by this virtuous deeds, may I quickly attain the wish-granting wheel. The wish-granting wheel is Tara.
Okay.
The
Makes
wish-granting wheel is Tara. May all sentient beings, without exception, be established in that state. So then here is that we become Tara, the wish granting wheel, and that may our work now become that in being able to bring enlightenment or to help other beings to establish in that state of enlightenment.
Whew. I learned so much, Lance. The person who just acquisition rate who went up the most tonight was mine. Thank you. I loved tonight. This was great.
All right, well, good.
This is
Okay.
awesome.
And if you want to do this together with me or somebody else, just say so. We'll make time and we can do this together on Zoom and during a weekday or whatever you say, because this is going to take some practice to do. You know, it's really hard to do by yourself, particularly for the first time. So, you know,
Okay.
this is where you have to show some initiative and say, I need some help.
Oh, I would appreciate that. I can see how it would help me to have a model or someone to kind of coach me through to make sure it's correct.
So-
It's done in order mechanically, like
So
you said.
this is up to you.
Yeah, I'll connect anyone who else wants to participate with me. Yes, I'm in. I'll email
right.
you.
So I know all of us here, you know, do practice. I know Bonnie loves to do practice, and I know that Tom does, and Michael does, and I certainly do. And so call on us and make a time, and at your convenience. And if one of us doesn't work, we'll try somebody else. But this is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak.
I know that phrase well.
And so this is a breakthrough.
It
This
is for me.
This is what we call Basramu. Basramu. It means the indestructible vow that breaks through. Basramu. Om Ahom, the indestructible vow that breaks through.
Thank you.
Anybody got any?
I have a question. On the bottom of page 60,
Yes,
it's seal the dedication by sharing the merit.
yes. That's the dedication.
That is the dedication. Okay.
That's
I
the
didn't know if that
dedication.
was
And then we
something-
would go to page 57 in our book here, and then we would do the lineage dedication prayer and the other dedication prayers.
Okay. The dedication prayers. Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so this dedication is a dedication for this practice, for this sadhana, but then we want to dedicate, you know, to all the beings and so on like that. So we would go to page 157 and complete that.
7
157. So,
in the book. Okay.
anybody else have any comments or questions?
Lance, if you want me to save it, I will. What about people who can't sit upright? People who are physically disabled and can't get their body in an upright position. What are they supposed to do to access?
They do the best they can.
Oh, okay.
You know, they need to sit on a chair, that's fine. If they need to sit in a chair with a back, that's fine. Whatever they need to do, you know, but the best benefit is when we're sitting in the proper posture and so on. That's the best way to do it.
Okay. Thank you.
So now we go to page 157 in the book. And Zara, you are reciting the prayers tonight. So you recite this, please, in English.
Okay. And what page do I stop? It's the same. Let's see.
So we're going to go
Okay.
through. So for tonight, we're going to go through page 159.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Dorji, Chang, Tilopa, Naropa,
Marpa,
Marpa, Milarepa, Dharma, Lord Gampopa, Phagmodropa, and Lord Junkapa. Sorry. Please bestow upon us the most auspicious blessings of all the Kayu Lamas. By this virtue, may I achieve omniscience by defeating all enemies' confusion. May all who travel on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray that the Lama have long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separated from you. As Manjushri, the warrior, realized the ultimate state, and as did Samantabhadra, I will follow in their path and fully dedicate all the merit for all sentient beings. By the blessings of the Buddha who attained the three kayas, by the blessing of the truth of the unchanging Dharma as such, by the blessing of the indivisible Sangha order, may the merit I share bear fruit. By the virtues collected in 3 times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of nature, virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Drangkungpa Ratnashri, who is omniscient Lord of the Dharma, master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, meditation until the end of samsara. Om Hung. Om Hung. Om Hung. May my body, mind, speech become inseparable.
No, do it again. May my
My
body, speech,
and mind become inseparable from my inseparable with my body, speech, and mind
of all the enlightened ones.
Of all the enlightened ones.
Isn't that our goal?
Yes, indeed. Thank you for this great practice.
So White Torah, the meaning of her practice is for long life. That we have a long life in order to be able to become Buddha.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience and taking notes.
We are so fortunate. We're so fortunate, really, we are, to have a person like Lance to show us all these details.
Yeah.
That it's very difficult to come by. It really is, you know.
Well, we're fortunate to have each other, you know, and to be able to do this and so on. And so this is a wonderful thing. I thank Zara very much and everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so now it's up to all of us to practice this, to incorporate this into our lives, you know, that this becomes part of our lifestyle.
Lance, can you clarify for me, because I'm making all sorts of breakthroughs this evening, medicine Buddha relative to these deity practices? Is that part of what you're incorporating in, like in helping us heal ourselves? Are you selecting different practices on those evenings?
Exactly. We do medicine Buddha on Thursday nights.
Okay.
And that he's the Buddha of healing. And
so
everybody needs healing.
Yes. So where is that in here? What page is that? Just so I can have
look
context.
at the table of contents.
Okay. Okay.
So it's
75. Okay. So that's what you're doing you're doing a specific deity practice, like it's from this book on every Thursday night. Okay.
Correct.
And you just go literally through this process on these pages.
Exactly as we just did it.
Okay. And where does that, I'm not asking you to prioritize or rank them, but is White Tara sort of the default to go to if you need to pick one to practice?
Not necessarily, but here it was chosen by Kempo in Learning Buddhism book, chapter 10.
Okay.
So this is why we went to that. It's very complete because it has all these different aspects in it.
Okay.
And one of the things I want to point out that the framework that we worked on with this is the 7-limb prayer, the 7-branch prayer that you recited on page 7, I think it is, in the book. So the elements of all these practices are
Yeah.
listed in that prayer, the 7-limb or the 7-branch prayer. There's refuge, there's offerings, there's confession, there's rejoicing, there's requesting, there's beseeching, and there's dedication.
Okay.
So yeah, so
Okay.
whether it's Shenrezig or it's Manjushri, these are the basic ones. Shenrezig, Manjushri, White Tara, Medicine Buddha might be considered as, the 4 most fundamental of the peaceful deities.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's still it's interesting. I'm like, there's a spiritual part, but then I'm still in an academic sort of conceptualization where I'm putting all these pieces together. So thank you for your patience.
And it takes a while for that to, become second nature to you.
Yes, that's a kind way to put that.
So let it be, as we say, organic, that it
Yeah.
grows within you
Yeah.
naturally. And then you find that's your natural self.
Yeah.
Look at us. We've never been happier than we are right now.
That is indeed very true. Very true. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else got anything you want to add? All right. Well, then thank you. Tomorrow we'll be participating with Drupal Tinley Ningpo at 11 o'clock. If anybody needs that link, I can provide it to you. And there's some events coming up, so pay attention to your email and WhatsApp, and I'll let you know what's going on. Sagadawa is coming up, and some practice things. We're going to start doing stuff at Dharma Surya.
I was going to ask, are you all going to be opening your building with all these changes that have happened recently?
Yes.
When, like, officially, like, do you know what date?
Well, officially on the 26th, I think that we are going to be celebrating the Sagadawa,
Okay.
which is this month, is
Right.
the birth of the Buddha, the enlightenment of the Buddha, and the death of the Buddha all happened within this month. So it's the holiest month of the year. So it's celebrated on the full moon, which is May 26th. So we're going to be there. Kempo is going to be down in Mexico, and he's going to be doing a whole elaborate puja down there. And we're going to be joining him with Zoom. So you can do it at home if you like, and tune into the Zoom. As soon as we get the information, we'll pass it along. And then the Tibetans are coming into Dharma Surya in the evening time, and they're going to do their practices. So we'll be Zooming that. So, and if anybody wants to come to the temple, I'm going to be down there. I plan on being there for a couple of days. And so that's going to be the first time that we're going to be open like that. And then with succeeding weekends, and we're going to start building in, doing things down there on Saturday and Sunday, open to the public.
Lance, are you all going to anticipate keeping these Zooms practices open, even though you may be opening your physical buildings back up? Oh, you will.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's wonderful. That's wonderful for me selfishly, because I don't have an opportunity.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Unless we come down to your house, we do it all down there.
Y'all can come if you want. I'll make room for all of y'all. Come on down.
I've always wanted to visit down there in South Carolina.
Come on, Lance. I'll host you. Come on. All right. Well, thank you all.
You're welcome.
Good night.
Thank you all very much.
All right.
Okay. Good night.
Good night, everyone.